Have you ever walked into a room expecting just one small problem and suddenly found yourself facing five? It's a moment that can feel overwhelming, confusing, even unfair. And yet, sometimes, in the most unexpected places, like a courtroom, we find understanding, compassion, and even kindness. Today's story takes us into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom, where justice is not only about rules, but also about people, their struggles, and their humanity. Joanne walked in that morning, perhaps with worry in her eyes. She thought she had just one issue to face. But when Judge Caprio gently greeted her, "Good morning, Joanne," he revealed that there were not one, not two, but 5 issues on the table. Imagine the weight of that moment. For Joanne, it felt like the ground shifted beneath her feet. But here's the beauty of Judge Caprio's courtroom. It's not a place where people are crushed by the system. It's a place where they're given a chance to be heard. The judge explained carefully, "You have 3 parking tickets at the same location and 3 red light violations." Joanne's first instinct was to throw up her hands and say, "I'm guilty. I don't even need to see them." But Judge Caprio, true to his character, stopped her. Because Judge Caprio believes something deeply. Every person deserves to be seen. Every story deserves to be told. He said, "Let's look at them together." And so, on the screen, the first video appeared. A car approaching a confusing intersection. 2 stop lines. One closer, one farther. Joanne had crossed the first line just before the light turned red. Now, here's where another judge might have said, "The law is the law, pay the fine." But Judge Caprio saw something different. He explained, "There's a great deal of confusion at this location. If you're past the first stop line when the light turns red, I will dismiss it." And so, dismissed. One gone. Then another. 2 tickets vanished, not because Joanne begged, not because she argued, but because justice was guided by fairness. By this time, Joanne began to soften. At first, she didn't even want to watch the evidence. She felt defeated. But now she leaned forward. "I want to see more." The courtroom laughed. And in that laughter, a moment of humanity shone through. The third video, however, showed something different. Her car went through the light after it turned red. Joanne admitted it honestly. "I did." Judge Caprio smiled kindly. "You're a smart woman, Joanne. I guess that's why you're up here admitting it." She replied with a grin. "Well, you're smarter. That's why you're sitting up there." And in that exchange, you could feel it. This courtroom wasn't about fear, it was about dignity. Finally, the judge considered the fines. "Joanne, after reviewing everything, the court is going to charge you $170. Her face dropped. "170? Judge Caprio didn't rush her. He asked softly, "Do you need time to pay?" "Yes, I'll need a month," Joanne admitted. The judge thought for a moment, and then, like a father concerned for his daughter, said, "Can you pay any of that today?" "No, Judge, not today. I didn't come prepared for this." So what did Judge Caprio do? He extended kindness. He reduced one of her fines by $85 because the violation was a fraction of a second. He gave her a full month to pay instead of demanding money she didn't have. By the end, Joanne smiled. When she first walked in, she wanted to close her eyes to everything, to just say, "I'm guilty," and move on. But thanks to Judge Caprio, she walked out not only with fewer fines, but with hope, with dignity, with the sense that fairness still exists. And as she turned to leave, she said, "Thank you, Judge. I appreciate it." And the judge, in his humble way, simply smiled. Friends, that is the power of Judge Frank Caprio. A man who reminds us that behind every ticket is a human being. That fairness requires listening, compassion, and patience, and that a courtroom, when led with kindness, can be a place of healing rather than fear. So I'll leave you with this question. When we face others in their mistakes, in their hardest moments, do we judge them harshly? Or do we see their humanity, the way Judge Caprio does every day? Because maybe, just maybe, the world would be a kinder place if we all carried a little of Judge Caprio's heart within us.